Welcome to the Museum of London Docklands. Come on in, we've got lots of curiosities to show you, like this one. This photograph shows the wine gauging ground at London Dock. The wine trade was huge for the docks and London Dock was the main centre of it. So you can see all the barrels out waiting to be gauged by customs officers who would use that information to decide what duties people were owed. So this is a mummified cat and rat, a very unusual item for the archive. They were found in a London dock warehouse in the 1890s, but we don't know how long they were there before that. Rats were a huge problem in warehouses at this time, so they used to have cats to try and chase them out. We can only speculate, but we assume that this cat was chasing this rat and that they got stuck together. So their archive predates the Port of London Authority, so actually the oldest item in the archive is from about the 1630s. We have a lot of minute books, we have a lot of engineering drawings, we've got some incredible sort of employee records, so it's a real mixture that can tell you a lot about the Port of London and the people who worked in it. People mostly ask about family members actually. Family history is one of our more popular inquiries. They ask about casual labourers, they ask about people who worked for the PLA or for other companies based in the docks. So this is a picture of a PLA diver. They were an incredibly important role within the PLA and did multiple things. Namely, they helped with salvage, so they would help lift things off from the bottom of the Thames, they would inspect moorings, and they would help the dredging service. It was an incredibly difficult job to do because of the tides, the Thames mud, and the poor visibility underneath the water. This photo is from around 1930, and at this time a diver would have had perhaps up to 4 people helping him and still on a manual pump system to get air to him when he's down in the Thames. This is a picture of a giraffe coming through London Dock, and it was destined to go to London Zoo. So we know that this giraffe was part of a large contingent of animals that came to London Zoo. At the time in 1946 it was the largest ever that had gone through the docks. The PLA produced the PLA Monthly from 1925, which was a monthly magazine where they would tell little stories about the port and what was happening in it and the people who worked in it. And that had a lot of pictures in it, so their publicity department had an awful lot of photographs, which has meant we have an amazing collection now that we still use. This photo shows General Montgomery, and he's addressing port workers. He's actually at Royal Albert Dock, but the address was relayed across the whole dock and wharf system within the Port of London.
Why is it that today...
He's thanking them for their hard work and sort of boosting morale. That's the purpose of his visit there. So this photo was taken in March 1944, so towards the end of the Second World War. The port played a vital role during the war effort, obviously ensuring that goods could still come into the country, but they were also instrumental in helping to construct Mulberry Harbours, which floated off Normandy during the D-Day landings. So this photograph from 1968 shows some elephants being transported through India and Millwall docks. These 4 elephants belong to Chipperfield Circus, and they were about to get onto a train actually after this and be transported to Oxford for the winter. Crime was always a concern in the docks, and the private enclosed dock companies had their own police forces. So when the PLA was established in 1909, they also had their own police force. This photograph, taken in 1954, shows the first female recruits to the force, and they were based at the Royal Docks. We don't actually know exactly how much we have in individual items. It's about 2 kilometres worth of shelving. So Captain Scott was a famous explorer and was trying to reach the South Pole, and this letter was written before he left, thanking the PLA for their generous gesture of letting him berth his boat, the Terra Nova, for free. This shows Coir being unloaded at Millwall Docks. You'll see there's a lot of men in the foreground, and the photograph was taken in 1914, so we can speculate that a lot of them were probably about to go and fight in World War I. Many of these workers would have been casual labourers. They're employed as and when it was needed, so depending on the number of ships and cargoes that were being unloaded or loaded on any one day. They would have turned up in the morning and using a call-on system would have been chosen by foremen to come and work. So when there were no ships, there was no work for these people. When the PLA were established, they took over from a number of predecessor bodies, mostly the enclosed dock companies. So they ran the West India docks, for example. And when they took them over, they took on their archive and records as well. So it accumulated it from every predecessor body and then added their own archive on top of that. And they kept it all together, which is amazing. And it's currently on loan to the museum where we look after it.